Greetings everyone, welcome to this build update. We will take a look at my gear in a moment, but first off I just wanted to show you a map here. I am doing my 100 desert spring maps, and yeah, also which I will also upload in the future, and we just put it in to showcase how fast it's progressing and everything. Should be pretty good. I hate it when it goes in this direction and not the other one. So it's a bit slower now. It's not much slower. I mean, it's like because I changed helmet from last build, but I mean the damage has just tripled probably, or quadrupled maybe. Let's see here. As you can see here, just run and the winter orb just takes care of all the heavy lifting. And this is a T15 map, so right before Guardians. By the way, Guardians and Uber Elder, no problem. You can check out my Uber Elder kill on my channel. It was really fast and easy. I've done 4 or 5 kills since then, and it's been yeah, 0 deaths. It's just on all of them. It's been super easy to do. You can just focus on running around and just dodge everything and just keep your stacks up of winter orb. Which kind of trivialized the whole fight, because the dodging is the hard stuff. And let's see here. And where are they? We're pretty damn tanky, so I'm not really worried about any of these. Ooh, I want this one in my hideout, so let's do this one. Anyway, I will go back. This is the same build I'm using for Uber Elder, so it's more optimized for that right now. But honestly, it's the same gear all around, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. It's just the boots basically I would change. So currently I am sitting on, let's see here, in my hideout without any buffs. I'm sitting on 15 to 14,000 depending on how my elemental conflux is going, which is pretty high. Honestly, in Path of Building, with all the buffs up and stuff like that, it goes up to, I can't remember, is 50,000 or 67? Oh no, it's up to 70 now, 70k. I will link my Path of Building in the description so you can take a look at that. My resistances are way over because I've just been throwing it in on every item I bought or created myself. So currently, let's put this in so I don't forget. Currently we are having the scepter here. I'm just want to take a look at that. I'm self-crafted. I broke it down to, I just bought the base for 2x, and then I scoured it, and then I regaled it until I gained the gain 20% elemental damage, extra chaos damage. Then I annulled it, so because to multi-craft it needs to be a rare. So unless you're hitting something really good as your second one, I would suggest try your luck with annul. So you either have a 50-50 shot if you annul directly from gain 20%, or you have a 33%, which actually is actually lower. And then you just craft whatever you want. I suggest these mods. I highly suggest you do these gemlinks, which we'll discuss later. I also bought this helm because I had this one before. It's still lying here. It's the 20% extra movement speed, so this was a little bit slower right now, but honestly the amount of DPS you gain from this is just insane, and also survivability and everything else. So the reason why I bought this one is Winter Orb has 2 maximum stages, which means it hits much faster, which means it deals much more damage. So apparently it outperforms. Not in Path of Building because it does not calculate the amount of stacks or how much. Actually, they only calculate for every hit, so you can calculate that yourself. But this one is good, but obviously this one is better. Honestly, a rare helmet with some good mods on it is still fine with any of these, so I would suggest any of those. But the reason why I just sniped this one when it came up for free X was that I could put in multiple of these bad boys. Flat cold damage to this build is insanely good. So if you see me taking off one of these, it gives me almost 1000 extra DPS. That is about 7% extra damage overall for each of these. Plus it gives me also tons of life and other stats. So game phasing and stuff like that. Then I went for a shield because I wanted some extra block, especially. Plus I wanted some extra life because I felt if I'm already killing Uber Elder at this speed, why would I need another scepter? Even if it would boost my DPS by maybe another 35%. I mean, I don't see the need for it. So instead I went all out on this shield. Got a little bit lucky finding this one for 2x, I believe. Or, I don't know. It's probably reasonable priced. There's plenty of up there for 1x or below. So a little bit worse than mine though. But still, I recommend the shield. And not Ash's Mirror. Ash's Mirror was fine when I was leveling and stuff like that. But it's not very defensive, plus it's much for clear speed only, and honestly we have so much clear speed, so don't even bother. The Pandemonius, I also recommend the Shaper Amulet that I had in the first video, but this one overall it gives you 20% cold pen and blind chilling on enemies, reducing speed and extra cold damage. I mean, it's just good. And plus the decks, we are starving on decks, so everything on this one, it's just freaking great. So I highly recommend you getting one of these, but they are expensive. So this one is about 6 or 7 exalted right now because it's in high demand for many builds, and the other one is like 1 to 2, so much more affordable. Then we're going for the Mark of the Shaper. It gives us up to 80% extra spell damage, if you see on the second to bottom there. And if I have an Elder Ring, which I have, and that works perfectly for us because we want curse enemies with level 12 Warlord's Mark on hit, which means we always gonna have endurance charges up, we always gonna have leeching up, and it doesn't cost us anything. We don't need to put it in a blasphemy setup, which is just great for sustaining life on every boss, every enemy, and so on. So works pretty great. I want to change this one though. I want something with a higher life roll, maybe some other stats on it. But I crafted this one myself for, I mean, I don't know, 100 chaos. And also it gives you, this ring also gives you a increased maximum life, so also good. And lightning damage to spells, summon Volta Anomaly, which is one of those like orbs you see on Shaper, it looks like. I think those are the ones, and they hit the boss and they stand in shit, so they take extra damage, so good for bossing also. So I highly recommend these two. This one is super cheap, so it's only 30 chaos right now, so, or less. So just buy one and then go for one of these if you can find. Then Combs Heart, pretty cheap this league. We can just take a look. I have not checked this one for ages. 1.4 exalted. We don't really care about the increased fire damage because our fire damage on this are not very high. Let's see what my fire is. I actually have no fire on my build, which means that the fire damage is totally moot. so don't even bother with that one. And the best thing for this build is these gloves. You really need to get one of these gloves if you want to play this. They go for under 1 exalt. If you don't want any other good rolls, you can focus on res and life and everything on other pieces of gear. These ones are so good because you get a slower projectile and faster casting on Succubus gems, which means we have a 6 link here in our gloves. And I also crafted these with plus 2 level Succubus AoE gems, which means that our, where is it, Winter Orb here, getting 1 more level to it. 1 more level to Winter Orb is better than any of these items. If I it gives me 5,000 extra DPS or something like that in Path of Building, and it's the most important thing. You need to have this, and you also need a plus 21 level Winter Orb. Don't care about the quality, it's only 10% increased cast speed, but go out and buy a 21 Winter Orb. I cannot stress this enough. This is the biggest upgrade you can have for this build. Levels to Winter Orb is insane. Then we have our really super nice that I crafted myself. My belt. This one is probably my most expensive piece right here. It has good res, increased damage. I crafted from 1x there, high life and cold damage, max roll, and we have aspect of spider. Aspect of spider is super important also. It gives us extra, the enemies take extra damage, and it also hinders them, which slows them down and everything, which is super good for anything in this game. I mean, it's defensive and offensive in one. So for 25% reserved mana, definitely go for it. You can have Aspect of the Spider on basically any gear piece, but I put it on this because I had an open it's suffix, isn't it? Yeah, open suffix. And then I'm looking for new I'm looking for the new new boots here, and these are the ones I'm using for well, all content right now. You want high movement speed, you want a little bit of res, you want some life. I have some strength on them to sustain my Combs Heart because it takes 191 here, so I have some strength on them. And most importantly, if you want to do Uber Elder or basically anything, it's very good because if you open boxes, you cannot be frozen and stuff like that. Cannot be frozen. You can craft these with the new recipes. And yeah, the enchant here is pretty crap. I don't really care for it. I just did a try on the bench and it didn't hit anything good. So don't look at that one. I think I've gone through all the gear. Let's go through the flask. You want bleeding immunity on here. You want curse immunity because if you do temporal chains and everything, or there's a lot of curses on maps, so plus some enemies throw curses and stuff like that. If you pop this one, it doesn't matter. I use it mostly for temporal chain maps because yeah, then you can totally disregard that you're slow. And you just pop your speed flask and this, and you're just running through everything, and it's always up. I use Dying Sun. I know some other people are using what is it, Wise Oaks, but then you need to balance your resistances a little bit better. You need Cold Rest to be is it the highest, I think? Which is actually is. I could actually use Wise Oak. And the lowest, so the highest one I believe gets up to 15% cold pen then. And the lowest one gets damage reduction for that element. So, but this one gives you 2 additional projectiles fired, and increased area effect is pretty nice, and yeah, so that is pretty neat. I would say that this one is, it's 50-50 which one you want to go for. I don't know what it costs now, but it cost pretty much when I bought it, 2x or something like that. yeah, it's 1.5. Then this one is super cheap. I should probably, you only want to worry about gain 15% elemental damage. Don't worry about the other rolls. Some extra damage, and it leeches some of the life when it's up and everything like that. And the chaos res, especially for alphas, the incursions. There's so much chaos, and we don't have any chaos res basically on this build, so it's much needed. I would not replace this one though. The only one I would replace here is this one with the Wise Oaks maybe, or any other you want to use. And then we have extra movement speed and increased movement speed also as a what is it, suffix here. Pretty good. Make sure you quality all your flasks so they increase in duration. What else do we have? We have just a normal tree. I'm gonna post tree in the description, so don't worry about that. Then I have some normal jewels. You wanna basically balance. If you take a look here, if you see here, I have to maximum life, which is pretty important. But here I have increased maximum life also. Percentage. You want to balance these out pretty evenly, because if you only go in one direction, you are not going to get the maximum out of it. It's only good, increased maximum life is only good if you have a lot of life, and so vice versa. So you want to take a look at my jewels. They're also in the description. Just put them into what is the site name? Yeah, PoE trade, Path of Exile's trades thing, or the PoE trade. Face acrobatics, highly recommend it. I went for a little bit less DPS to have some more leeway when it comes to increased duration, because it's just tiresome to stop every 7 seconds and then just refresh. So now, and for the gems, we're gonna go within this one. You can't see it here because it's so big. It's Val Cold Snap. We're after both because I'm putting it in my scepter here, which has triggered a socket spell when I use on a skill. So basically, when I'm rolling up these normal stacks of Winter Orb, it's just gonna drop this. It's gonna alternate between my Frost Bomb and my Cold Snap, and it will target the place I'm having my cursor. So I had this one on self-cast before, Frost Bomb, because it gives us minus 25 cold res on bosses and everything. But I was always forgetting it, and it's an extra button to click, so you can see me I have almost nothing to click anymore. So this takes care of always debuffing the boss. So super good setup. Bone Shield I'm using for the support for these. Val Cold Snap, I just pop Val Righteous Fire and Val Cold Snap as soon as I hit the boss, and it just completely melts them. Then we have in my helmet, I have Herald of Ice and Portal. I could not bother to have Portal Scrolls in my inventory, so also highly recommended. Herald of Ice, Herald of Thunder, and Arctic Armor, and the Spider Aura is the ones I actually have up, as you can see here. All of them I can have up without having, but I bought an Enlighten just because I have some currency to spend. You definitely don't need an Enlighten at all. If you have an extra gem slot, you can put it in. Otherwise, just disregard that. I don't know what you would put in there instead, so I had an empty slot, I put it in. Gives me some more, but it does not matter when you run around in a map, because you're always leeching, so you're always going to be at max stack as soon as you hit max stack. So as you can see here, I can only reach 8, so I reached 6 or 7 without this one. And But when you're on the map, as soon as you get up to 12, it does not matter if you have enemies around you anymore. You're still gonna be at 12 all the time. It will stop there. For my gloves, I highly suggest this. I've been going through all the different gems and setups and stuff like that. I would Winter Orb, level 21. I cannot stress this enough. Please buy. It's super cheap. Just buy it. Disregard the quality on all of these. If you have some extra money to spend, then you buy 21 and with quality. Same with these. If you have some extra money, do not need 21. They're pretty expensive, 1x each at least. And you don't need it. It's just a little bit of extra damage. But you want concentrated effect because, yeah, you saw me running around there. Do we really need more AoE? No. Control destruction because we're not stacking crit on this one. We just get maximum from this gem, and plus we have where is it? This elemental overload, so no critical multiplier, so we don't really care about that anyway. Then we have greater multiple projectile. You could go for a lesser one, I guess. But I would not see how that would improve. It would improve our DPS, but we also don't get the amount of projectiles. So overall, this is more damage. Plus, it spreads out more, which greater AoE and everything like that. For our boots, I have Arcane Search on, and it will trigger each time I'm using Phase Run. So you want to make sure that these, every time I'm hitting Phase Run here, so let's hit. You can see my Arcane Search is also hitting. I also have Arcane Search on this, on kill, which means that I don't need to bother when I'm mapping. So it's a little bit overkill. But on bosses, we're using Phase Run all the time, so even if we're not killing, we'll still have Arcane Search up, which is great. Then we have Righteous Fire. Val Righteous Fire is the one you want here, because make sure you're not using the wrong one. And then we have increased duration to just increase the Phase Run and Righteous Fire here. And Arcane Search, I guess. I don't know if it works on Arcane Search. But it's for increasing these for some extra DPS and some extra running speed. Or running time, more likely. Let's see for Pantheons. I have not changed my Pantheons. Where are the Pantheons? Which button is that? There it is. I'm still using Soul of Lunaris. It's just physical damage reduction for each enemy, which is tons of them, and also some extra projectile, because the only thing that's gonna hit us is probably ranged things. So this one is great. And this one, Soul of Shakari, is for immune to poison. This is why I'm using it, and also some good for chaos, which is we're sadly lacking on this build. I don't know if I've missed something. If I have missed something in this video guide about the Winter Orb non-crit life version. I have a 7,500 at the moment. I can have more. I can have up to 8,000 if I just craft life on this one instead. But it is super tanky, and I've been doing shenanigans with other things while I've been doing this, so I'm not been bothering leveling. So I tried out some things and I got completely slaughtered. I also went into a elemental reflect map, and that did not turn out well. So thank you for watching. Just write your question in the comment section and I will answer them when I have time.